Hey, my name is Arthur Robinson Jr. I am the creator and host of PowerfulInterviews.com. I am a partner of NationalDiversified.com. I want to welcome each and every one of you to this amazing video. In this interview, you're going to experience life-changing information that you will not find anywhere else. I have secured an incredible interview with a great friend of mine, successful businessman, the multi-millionaire. His name is Phillip F. Smith. Phillip F. Smith, in this exclusive interview, he breaks down layman's terms about how he formulated a business partnership with Eric Sherman. And Eric Sherman is basically a successful businessman. You know the hip-hop legend group EPMD. And EPMD stands for Eric and Parrish Making Dollars. Also in this interview, Phillip F. Smith, he breaks down layman's terms about how he got endorsed by the successful businessman Kevin Harrington. You know Kevin Harrington, he was the original shark on the hit TV business show Shark Tank. Also in this interview, Phillip F. Smith, he breaks down layman's terms about how he generated over $5 million in revenue as a Facebook lead generator and as a successful, phenomenal business loan broker, and much, much more. So remember, this is not BS information. The right information will change your current situation. Wealthy people, they take advice from other wealthy people, and unfortunately, broke people, they take advice from broke people. So right about now, go get your pen and your pad, sit back and relax, and write down some notes. In this interview that I'm going to reveal to each and every one of you with my great friend, successful businessman, the multi-millionaire. His name is Phillip F. Smith. This interview, it will change your entire life. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on. That way you be well informed when I publish more outside the box audio exclusive interviews. So, check it out.
Without further ado, I'd like to welcome the one, the only, the powerful Phillip F. Smith to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. That was a great intro. Appreciate it.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Phil, for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the listeners worldwide about how to build a successful business online and what it takes to become a successful business loan broker. I gladly appreciate it.
Yep, definitely. Anything for you.
To everyone that's listening, I highly recommend go and get your pen and your pad right now. My great friend Phillip Smith is going to break down layman's terms about how you can actually make money online and how to become a successful business loan broker. Is that correct, Phillip?
Yes, definitely. So grab your pen and paper and we'll get going.
Now, what I'd like to know, and can you explain to the listeners in layman's terms, who is the phenomenal Phillip Smith? How long have you been in your powerful industry, and what is your expertise?
So I'll start from the beginning. I grew up rather poor. Free lunches at school. Free. We used to take public transportation. Life wasn't that great growing up in terms of money, but obviously my parents did an excellent job and gave me a great childhood. But so when I was a teenager, graduated high school, really didn't expect much out of myself. I have to say, I went to community college, messed around for a couple of years after school, but at 21 I kind of got my head on straight and I said I really need to do something with my life. I did lose both my parents young as a teenager, and in my 20s I lost both my parents. So at that point in time, I just knew I had to make the right decisions going forward. So what happened was I decided to go back to school, got some help, some family friends to pay for college, and eventually I decided there was a one day, and when I was 23 years old, I said, okay, I have a job opportunity with a big corporation, and I had the ability to go and start a business. And I had to make that decision, right? What do you do? Which direction do you go in? It's two completely different directions. So I decided to try it out. I was able to take the risk, obviously. I was young enough, didn't have, a family or kids or anything. So I started my own business, and that's what now got me into this direction. So I started up a web hosting company back in 1999 is when I officially launched, and that business grew, and we ended up selling it in 2005. After that is where I got into digital marketing, and that's what I do today. Digital marketer, learn how to make money on the internet because that is the future. That's what I started back in 2005, 2006, and it's still the same today, and that's what I recommend anybody. Learn how to build a business on the internet. It's not going anywhere. It's only getting bigger. Look at retail stores. Look at Amazon. This is the path that's happening. So whatever you do, just choose something that's online. So in 2006, I became a consultant, just started helping companies with their internet marketing problems. It's a one-man company. I started working from home in 2006, actually, because I liked the idea. And then what happened was a few years later, I ended up meeting a gentleman named Jim Estill. Jim Estill from Canada, and he was one of the first investors in BlackBerry. Amazing. So I meet this guy off a Craigslist ad, if you can imagine. He put up an ad looking for someone to help him out with internet marketing, and I meet this guy, I go to his house. And it's, kind of weird, right, because you expect to go to an office. Beautiful house in an upscale neighborhood here on Long Island called Dix Hills. And so I'm like, all right, this is Craigslist ad, going to someone's house. All right, let me be a little weary. So I walk inside, and, the guy's really nice. I learn more about him, and he tells me he's starting up a fund, an investment fund to help out startups. And so he ended up offering me to come aboard, and he acquired my company. So then I had to start going to an office again. But I worked with Jim and that company, that fund, for 3 years. And I learned a lot about the investment world and working with, these high-level entrepreneurs, guys that are just investing millions into all these businesses, kind of like a Shark Tank atmosphere, right? Looking for startups and whatnot. So same concept, just without the show. So I did that for 3 years, and I learned a lot. So we ended up taking the business that I sold them. We grew it even larger, and then we sold it again. So that's when I said to myself, I'm like, all right, I want to go back home, and I want to, because now I'm starting to have kids, started having kids in 2011, and so at that point in time, I wanted to build a business from home for the future. I didn't want to do the office anymore. I didn't want partners, didn't want bosses, didn't want any of that stuff. So what happened was I decided to, I started doing a consulting thing again. So once I started consulting for companies, I started with the small local companies, helping them with their digital marketing, and I started doing that for a year or two. But I knew that wasn't my passion anymore. I wanted to move beyond that. And for me, I wanted to build a scalable business. So when I recommend to people how to build a business from home, it's all about building a business that can scale. What do I mean by that? That means that a business that can grow without the need of a lot of money, any employees, no investors, stuff like that. You really don't want to get involved in that type of business. It just makes it harder to grow. If anybody watches the show Shark Tank, they can see that the people on there are struggling. Oh, if I don't get this deal done, I'm going out of business. You don't want to put yourself in those shoes. So, and I didn't want to put myself in those shoes. So when I decided to get into the lead generation business, what does that mean? That means that I decided to try to build a business around running ads on Facebook or running ads online, but I decided Facebook was the best strategy for me. So that means I put an ad on Facebook, that person clicks on the ad, they come to my website, they fill out the form, and then I sell those leads to my buyers, my lead buyers. So I work with these companies who pay me to basically do marketing for them, but it's all performance-based, so they just pay me per lead. So that business now, you're able to set up on my own, build out a website, put some ads online, and then find the buyers, right? So you need those three components, and then you turn around, and then you sell those leads. Now, the reason why this business can scale is because as you start to make money and make a profit, you just spend more money to get more leads and make more profit. You don't need to invest a lot of money because every dollar you spend, you should be making a profit, or else you're doing something wrong, and you shouldn't try to grow it then. So that means when you're spending a dollar, you should be making a profit, whatever that profit is. So then what happens is, now as the buyers buy more leads from you and it starts to scale, then what happens is you can go into other verticals, because once you build one business model, then you can jump into another business model. So let me explain. So I generate business loan leads. So that means that I go out on Facebook, I put an ad for a business loan. It says, are you interested in business loans? Do you want to grow your business? Something like that. Then what happens is they click on that ad, they go to my website, they fill out the form, I sell it. Now that I have this whole process in place, Facebook ads, website, buyers, and my automation, because every time a lead comes in, it goes out by itself. So there's no manual process involved, which is another reason why you can scale the business. Now that I've done this, well, guess what I can do? I can now go into another industry like maybe auto finance, maybe student loans, maybe mortgages, insurance, because the business model is exactly the same. The website, the Facebook ads, it's all the same stuff. You just build a different website, a different Facebook ad, you have different buyers, but the business model is the same. So what I'm doing now is today I decided to start teaching people how to get involved in this business. So I will take a step back and say, before I started doing the lead generation, because that was my long-term goal, to become a lead generator. But I knew I had to do some other steps first before I became a lead generator. And what I mean by that is I was a business loan broker. So I started in the industry by brokering deals myself, learning the ins and outs. And then as I started generating my own leads for my own business, then I started converting to a lead generator. So instead of me calling the business owners and getting them the loan myself, I said, you know what, let me just hand these leads over to the lenders directly, and they can call them, and I'll just be the middleman, the marketing company. So it's been an interesting ride. But so I love the business. Business is great. But as we were discussing before, I've been doing an e-learning company since 2008, but on a very small scale. I never did it on a large scale. But once I started having success with this and I saw what it did to my life, because I've always believed that you want to build a business around a lifestyle that you want to live. So going back a few years ago in 2015, when I said to myself that I want to work from home again, I don't want to go in office, I don't want to do that anymore, the main reason why I want to spend more time with my kids, I didn't want to be that father that spent 12 hours at the office every day and never saw their kids, or their kids were sleeping when they got home and you only saw them on the weekends. I didn't want to be that guy. So I wanted to be around more, and by me working from home, my kids are always around, obviously before and after school. They're not both in a kindergarten yet, in elementary school. But so, but I see them a lot, and that's the reason why I built the business, because I wanted to live that lifestyle. I wanted to be that quote-unquote stay-at-home dad, but still be able to make money. I wanted to go on more vacations. My kids have been going on more vacations than I have in the first 30 years of my life, and they're not even 8 years old yet. So, wow. This is so it's amazing. I'll give you a number, because in my webinars I give this information out. I went on 47 days of vacation from the end of 2016 to the end of 2017. Who goes on 47 days of vacation?
Wow.
Right? So the reason why we do that is because this is the lifestyle that we want to live. So I built a business to afford that lifestyle. So now today, I teach people how to do this. I teach people how to become a business loan broker, because it's a great industry. It's a booming industry, and there's a lot of money to be made because you're in the financial space. Why do you think the guys on Wall Street make all the money? It's not because they all just, won the lottery one day. It's because it's an amazing industry to be in. That's where the money is. So being in the financial space affords this huge commissions when you do business loan deals. And then what I do is I teach people the industry. I provide them contacts with lenders that I work with, and I teach them how to generate their own leads. So now they have their own business in a box. They don't need to really go outside that box. They can certainly do whatever they want. It's their business. But you can live inside this box that we give you and build this business. And I just received a testimonial last week, someone who started this business a few months ago. And he just recently bought 2 cars for his family, lives in Wyoming. put a testimonial on Facebook, in our Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group where we provide support. I have another guy who, after a few months, bought a Mercedes cash. He always wanted to buy a car cash, and he's actually able to do it. And you know what's funny about that guy? He was actually a business owner before. He owned a franchise. And he said it was the worst mistake. I'm not saying franchises are bad across the board. For him personally, it just wasn't the right move. And it took him 8 years to get out. I'm not saying franchises are bad. It's a great opportunity for the right person. But he looks at this business and he's like, wow, I used to have employees, retail location, the whole nine. He's like, this is such a better way to live. And within
he was in a daily grind.
Yeah, exactly. Just out and about all day. He told me, because I met this guy, James, back in 2012, and at a networking group. And I remember meeting him, and he's telling me, his story or whatever, the business he's in. And we would talk frequently, and trying to do deals together. And every time I talk to you, you're out to lunch, you're hanging out at your house. He goes, how do you do it? And then when he finally got his business, he goes, I got to do what you do. And he put the work in, and now he does it full-time. He goes to a lot of conferences with me. We make a lot of videos together now because he's local to me, so it's easy. I have another guy, Brian, in Florida, who was actually the first person I ever taught, and he pulled in over $300,000 a year now. I taught him back in 2015. I have another guy, Ali, in Houston. He used to live in New York, lives in Houston now, pulled in over $500,000 last year. So it's possible. I'm not saying that every single person is going to make this much money, but you're in the financial space. So that means every single time you close a deal and you work with a company, you get them a loan, the average commission size is $2,000. So now think about it. You know this. You talk to a lot of people. If you ask 10 business owners if they needed a loan or they needed money to grow their business, how many are going to say yes?
They all going to say yes. And there's over 30 million businesses that need business loans right now.
Exactly. So you could just walk down in any industrial park, walk down the street, shopping malls. Who needs a loan? I mean, you're not exactly. It's not like you're asking for charity. It's not like you're trying to sell some product nobody wants. I mean, you talk to business owners, you say, who needs a loan? They're not running away from you. They're saying, hey, tell me more.
That's right.
Right now, you're a magnet. So that's the reason why. And so when we put people in this business, it's a good opportunity. Now, I'll tell you the future goals. Future goals of this whole business, the e-learning business that I created, it's not just to be teaching people how to become a business loan broker and teach them how to generate their own leads. I want to create a lot of courses because, listen, there's a lot of people that they don't want to be a salesperson. They don't want to do business loans. Maybe they want to do something else. Maybe they like the lead generation business like I do now, where you don't talk to anybody, right? You basically just talk to your lead buyers, and it's an automated business. You're not, selling anything, right? You're just selling leads. So I'm starting to create that training. That training should be up in a few weeks. And I'm actually working on it right now. I've been up to 2:30 in the morning every single night because it's the only time I have to kind of make these training videos. I've been so busy lately, but lack of sleep. So
money never sleeps.
Creating that. Oh, exactly. So that's and then I have another one. I have actually one right now that I created. I don't really promote it much. Actually, it's probably a dumb thing to do. But I have a do-it-yourself credit repair. So you can fix your credit all by yourself. You don't need to pay thousands of dollars for someone to do it. I literally only charge $97 for that. That's it. I just threw it together one day. It took me about 3 hours. I have a lot of experience in the space. Threw it together, and I just put it up, and a lot of people are using it and fixing their own credit, and they don't need to spend thousands of dollars to do so anymore. So that's another thing. So we have other ideas. We're looking at coming out with a digital marketing consultant, because I was a digital marketing consultant from 2006 to basically 2014. And I actually sold the company twice, technically, once to the investment fund and once to another company after the investment fund. That's another great business.
Wow.
So a lot of people can make money as a digital marketing consultant, helping local businesses or nationwide with their marketing strategy. When I was doing that, I was charging on average $2,000 per month. See, selling a service is so much better than selling a product because you get a client, they could be paying you for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Much better business. So I love that business because I only needed to live comfortably, maybe 20 clients. Average paying, the minimum I charge is $2,000 a month. My3,500. But if you get, 20 clients and you just, make sure you have time management, right? You do your time, you know what you got to do. You can make $30,000 to $50,000 a month as a consultant, easy. Once you build up your clientele, it may take you 6 months to a year to get there, depending on how fast you are. That's another amazing business. So we're going to put that together. Then I'm working with a company out of Florida, just went down to West Palm Beach last month, and they're a big affiliate network. So what's an affiliate network? Affiliate network is, I'm sure a lot of people know who 1-800-Flowers is, right? So 1-800-Flowers has an affiliate network where if you send them a customer, they will pay you a percentage of the sale. So that's basically affiliate marketing. So what these guys do that on a larger scale in all different verticals. And there's a lot of companies out there. Pretty much every major brand has some sort of affiliate network. GoDaddy has it. Even larger brands like, Macy's has it. They all have some sort of affiliate. Even Amazon has it.
Yeah, Amazon.
Some sort of affiliate program.
Walmart.
Where you send traffic. Exactly. You send traffic to their website and someone buys something, they give you a kickback. So how do you make money in that industry? That's another great industry. So we're working on doing that. Another one that I really like, I did this business actually right before I became a broker for about 5 months. I was flipping leads. This is an amazing business for the average person to get into because you really don't require any money to do it, and I'll explain.
You are experiencing a life-changing, powerful interview, and you are hearing it first from Arthur Robinson Jr.'s PowerfulInterviews.com.
I know you'd understand the concept of this, but the concept is this. You work with a buyer, okay, so you find someone that wants to buy leads. So let's just say, for example, you find let's just say, I'll just keep it in the business loan space because that's what we've been talking about. You find a lender in the business loan space who needs leads for their business. But instead of you going out and generating a lead yourself and selling them leads and setting up the whole entire network for that, you just flip leads. And then you find someone like me who knows how to generate the leads and you become the middleman. You're a broker at that point. You're flipping leads. So you buy a lead from me for X dollars. You put a profit margin on it for 10, 20, 50, 100%, whatever you can make on it, and then you sell it to that buyer. There's no risk because the buyer pays up front. So you're getting the money up front. You pay the lead provider up front. Everyone gets paid. The leads are generated. You make your profit, and you call it a day. When I was doing that, I was at a TD bank account, and I wasn't doing wires online at the time. And I would go down to that bank every single day to do wires. And after a little while, the guy, it's a small bank, what I mean by that is, not a lot of people working there. So you would see the same people every single time. And after a while, they're like, what do you do? Like you're in there every day doing wires. And the guy, I'm like, actually, that's like the coolest gig going on right now. And I just work with companies. They buy leads. I find someone who can generate the lead. And he pays me up front. I pay this guy. This is my job. My job is to drive here, do this wire, drive home, and I can make thousands of dollars off one deal. Of course, you can also make $100, right? I mean, but, on average, once you get to the bigger volume amounts, you start making thousands of dollars a deal. And the guy's like, seriously? He just couldn't even believe it. So, it's funny, when you look at, anyone looks at their own career, whether you're an employee or you want to be a business owner, whatever the case may be, everybody pushes themselves to a certain extent, right? I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur when I hit my 20s. And what happened was I've always pushed myself. And my wife kind of, in one way, tells me you just got to be happy with what you have. And I tell her, I'm like, it's not that I'm not happy with what I have, but for me to keep the drive going, I need to keep setting these expectations or these goals for myself in order to keep the drive. That's how I am. I've always been goal-oriented. I need to visually see something, whether it's a car, a house, whatever it is. I need to visualize something and say, all right, I need to get there. That's just the way
true.
I've always pushed myself.
That's a big difference.
Everyone?
Because I always tell people, are you just interested in becoming a millionaire, or are you fully committed to becoming a millionaire? That is a big difference.
And yeah, it's a big difference. And I've always pushed myself and pushed myself and pushed myself, and she doesn't understand that it has nothing to do with not being happy. So I'm a car guy. So I'm never happy with a car after 6 months, a year. I just want another one. Right? It's almost like a sickness, and she can't stand it, but she gets it. She understands it. She just can't stand it because she's not like that.
Right.
But that's my thing. Like that's what gets me going. I'm like, oh man, I can go out and buy any car I want right now. Like that's an amazing feeling to have because I'm a car guy. Maybe you're into vacations and you say, wow, and you're a big traveler. And if you could say to yourself one day, man, I could today go anywhere I want. If I want to go to Australia, I can do it. I can bring my business with me, and I have the money to do it. Whatever it is, right? Maybe you're someone who just wants to travel the country. Maybe you want to do a road trip around the country. How many people want to do I want to do a road trip around the country. That's one thing I always wanted to do. But you just don't have the time, and you don't have the money. You can't get off from work. Well, you build a business around a lifestyle you want to live. Boom. You get up, you get in that RV, you start driving. Whatever it is that person wants to do, whatever motivates them. But I'll tell you a funny story. I was at my house, and I put my sprinklers on my phone so I can control my sprinklers from my phone. Don't ask why. I just, when you can do certain things, you just do it. So I do it. The sprinkler guy's here. He's setting it up. And he's telling me a story about some guy he knows who has millions of dollars. I don't remember the exact story, but the point of it is this. Once he says, he goes, if I had that much money, I would just go live on an island somewhere. I'm like, the problem is because you just said that is the reason why you're not going to become a millionaire. Because you think once you have it, you're going to stop. And sure, certain people can make X amount of dollars and say, all right, I'm going to retire this. But the true entrepreneur, that guy who has that drive, who builds these companies, like look at any of the millionaires or billionaires out there. They're all still working.
That's right.
Bill Gates is still going. He's still doing something.
They never satisfied.
You think Mark Zuckerberg? Exactly. And you need that to get to certain heights. You can't have the mentality like, once I get there, I'm going to stop, because guess what? That's the reason why you haven't started. Because you think that.
Now, you mastered and learned the digital marketing space, and then you built a phenomenal website as being a phenomenal business loan broker. So your website is your sales page, and Google Analytics, that can be your marketing?
So in terms of how I drive traffic to my website?
Correct.
All right, so your question is, how do I drive traffic to my website currently?
That's correct. Do you use Google Analytics?
I do use Google Analytics. That's just, to analyze my website, see where my traffic's coming from, look at certain conversion rates, stuff like that. Google products are amazing. There's a lot of them. Yeah, it's definitely good stuff. In terms of how I drive traffic to my website, I do use Google AdWords. That's their paid marketing platform. So you pay for an ad on Google AdWords and you drive traffic to your website. I also use Facebook. I started using YouTube lately. That's a new thing for me. It's because I'm doing more video. Like you mentioned before, I got endorsed by Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. If anyone knows Eric Sermon from EPMD, Pop Icon, I just partnered with him. We just made our first video last week. I've known Eric for about 10 years, and he came to me, actually. And he just found out, through people that we know, and that what I'm doing today and that I've been successful doing. He says, I've always wanted to give back. He goes, he basically said, he's like, I just want to find more avenues to give back. He obviously does what he does, and he does whatever he can. But he's like, how can, if you're helping these people make money, and he actually talked to people. He didn't just take my word for it. He actually talked to people that are doing it. He did a little investigation. He's like, listen, I'm going to put my name on this. I got to make sure it's legit. So he said, he goes, listen, if you're helping people make money, I want to help you help people make money. So we did a video. Obviously we're going to do more. He's going to work with people that he knows to get them involved and basically endorse him. So we kind of came up with this whole idea of Eric Sermon Mentoring. So we just built out a site, ericsermonmentoring.com. It's just, a one-page website right now. But that's the idea, is to kind of get him behind it. And now he's going to start providing career advice, different things for people, whether it's they become the broker or whatever other, ideas that we come up with. But this is less than a week old, so we're just getting there. And I've only been doing this business for 9 months now. So it's very new. Actually, it might even only be 8 months. Last July is when I officially launched. So what is that, 9 months, 10 months? So this is all very, very new. Very new for this e-learning business. So, the fact that just within this short time frame, with Kevin Harrington and Eric Sermon, and there's some others, there's actually another shark I'm talking to right now. Of course, I can't say their name now, but another shark that I'm talking to that I met at a convention in San Diego a couple weeks ago. And I'm talking to some football players, some other hip-hop artists now. So I'm just how do you get out there? How do you reach people? To me, it's celebrities, because they have such a far reach, right? Where everyone has some sort of following. So if I can use them to help get the word out, and then obviously just help more people. So one thing I'll also share with you is I kind of want to create a movement around this. And so I came up with the idea of iworkinmyjams.com. So I work. I love the website. You've seen it?
Yes.
I wasn't sure. Okay. So now that site, it's just really an idea, right? We're gonna put a logo on T-shirts, send them out to people when they join, and kind of create a movement, right? I work in my jams. I work in my jams. So that's the idea, and going forward to again, just expand this whole brand. But
that's a powerful idea, because ideas is the real capital of real wealth. Now, you educate people all over the world, about this phenomenal platform. Can you explain to the listeners, Phillip, what is the best advice that you have ever received?
The best advice I've ever received? Is that what you said?
That's correct.
Okay. The best advice I've ever received. Well, let me tell you the best. I guess this is technically advice. So I was with Jim Estill one day in his office, and I've always liked to ask people questions around me that I want to be like, and say, what am I doing wrong? It's easy to say what you're doing right? But what am I doing wrong? And he said something to me that actually pissed me off at the time. And he goes, I don't think you're confident in yourself. And I was like, you don't think I'm confident? I'm like, what are you talking about? I sold 2 companies. And listen, I've had my ups and downs, so I don't want everybody to think everything's been roses, In 2008, a lot of people had problems in 2008, right? But in 2008 was a very, very bad time. 2009, things weren't going great all the time. Ups and downs, that's the real life of an entrepreneur, right? It's not just like, oh, wow, this guy had all this easy-going days.
That's right.
There's days where you're just racking your brain and you're like in a corner crying. You're like, what am I doing wrong?
Ups and downs will always be around.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. You have to get through the downs to get back to the up, and don't make the same mistakes twice. But when Jim Estill said to me, I don't think you're confident in yourself, I couldn't believe it. I even, we finished that conversation. I went back in the next day. I kind of got a little loud with him, And what I mean by that was, I was like, I don't understand. You saying I'm not confident. I'll run circles around. I started naming people in the office and other CEOs because they were an investment fund. So they had 17 companies, and I was the CEO of one of the 17 companies. So I'm like, I'll run circles around these other guys, And what I realized, it took me a couple. That was I would say probably 2012. It took me 3 years. 3 years almost to figure out what that meant. And one day, I'm sitting there, and I kind of in the back of my mind always kind of knew what he meant, but I didn't want to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a thing with a lot of people, and it happened to me. You don't want to believe that. Oh, you're not motivated, you're not this, or whatever it is, right? You don't want to believe it, so you're just going to ignore it. So one day, I realized what he meant. And what he meant was this. I've always had ideas. I always consider myself an idea person. Come up with ideas, but an idea is nothing. It's just an idea. You have to execute. You have to take that idea and turn it into a business, execute it on all fronts to make it a success.
That's right.
I've always had these ideas, And the problem is I never really truly dropped everything and took a chance on it. Never did it. And now I've done things, right? But there's other stuff I feel like, oh, man, if I jumped on that at the time, because, business is all about timing. Life is all about timing. And I felt like when I look backwards, I said, oh, man, if I tried that, I probably would have worked and whatever. So now in 2015, I was still doing that consulting stuff a little bit and actually really the end of 14 going into 15. And I ended up, again, just having consulting clients. I just wasn't happy. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing, right? If you wake up in the morning and you are not happy, you got to make a change. Don't just complain about it. Make a change. I've known so many people over the years who have, jobs or whatever, and they just complain every single day for years. And they just never.
That's right. So, if you're going to talk about the problem, have 5 solutions that can solve that problem.
Exactly. So late 14 going into 15, I say to myself, this is what Jim is talking about. I don't have the confidence to drop everything right now and do this business because at the end of the day, I'm scared I'm going to fail. Now listen, everybody's scared of failing. Right? You remember being a teenager, you want to go talk to that girl you liked, and you're scared of her saying no?
Mm-hmm.
Scared of failing, right? I mean, everyone's scared of failing in one way or another, right? It's the biggest fear we all probably have across the board. So I said to myself, but I know deep inside, I'm like, I can make this a success. Why am I not doing it? So one day I said, I'm done. Dropped everything. I fired all my clients. I dropped everything, and it's a risk now, right, for me because I have kids now. What if it doesn't go well, right? But hey, big risk equal big rewards. And I said, I'm done. I'm doing it. Dropped everything and started putting my head down. And you know what? It took a little while. I'm not going to say, it skyrocketed overnight. I started learning. I started figuring things out. I was doing the lead flipping business I mentioned before, started doing the brokering. But once I figured it out, and listen, I had no one to go to. No one was teaching me anything. Nobody was saying, oh, go talk to these companies. Here's my personal contact for you. Here's how to generate a lead. I had nothing. I was figuring it out by myself. But when I figured it out, it just skyrocketed the business. My broker business skyrocketed. I mean, I went from zero to making $30,000 a month in my broker business in 30 days. And then when I became a lead generator, and I stopped doing a brokering because I knew I could do it. I knew that it was possible. I went from zero to $100,000 a month in revenue in 30 days as a lead generator.
That's powerful. See, success is progress.
Exactly. You take it and you reach that next level. And then you take what you learn and you reach the next level. You keep pushing yourself to the next level, next level, next level. And, there's a lot of people out there that do not believe it's possible. So listen, when I run these ads online promoting the e-learning business, of course you get a lot of people that they understand it, they get it, and they move forward, they join. And then you get a whole lot of people out there that make these and it's not like they're wrong. It's just I just made a video actually the other day, and I titled it "You Don't Know What You Don't Know."
Mm-hmm.
Right? People don't know what they don't know. So when they say to me, I've had people say to me, "Oh, I would never spend that much money to start a business. I'd rather take my family out to dinner." That's clearly not an entrepreneur.
That's right.
Right? Then you have all sorts of people that just make these comments where, it's impossible. I had someone saying it's impossible for someone to make this much money from home. That's what he says. I'm like, then you don't know, and that's fine. It's not that he's wrong. He's right in his own mind and what he grew up with, who he's around. Listen, whoever. And you know this, the people you put yourself around are typically going to be the same people you're going to be like, right?
That's true.
Everyone likes to say,
who you spend time with, who you listen to, that's who you're going to become.
Exactly. And if you take someone, you take any person and you take all their friends and you take all their average salaries or all their average incomes, they're probably going to be right in that boat.
That's right.
It's just the way it is. The mechanic's going to hang out with mechanics. The wait staff is going to hang out with wait staff. It's just that's the people you're around. That's who you're going to be like. And guess who those people ask for career advice from? The person who probably doesn't really make that much money, right?
That's
so
right.
If you're growing up in a small town and you're asking Uncle Bob, who maxed out at $50,000 a year, hey, Uncle Bob, should I go start this business? Nah, man, that'll never work. Go back to the minefield. It's just like that. Who you talking to? You don't ask the guy that doesn't go to the gym on how to work out, right? You go to the gym and you talk to a trainer. That's who you ask. You don't ask the chubby kid. That would be me. That was a chubby kid. You don't come to me and ask me how to work out, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to ask the right people. You got to get that advice from the right people who are doing it and who are living it and breathing it. And, people, but they don't know that. They don't know. They don't know. They have to trust you. So that's the problem. So it's funny because there's people out there that are, larger in the industry than I am. I mean, listen, I've only been in it for 9 months. I mean, how big could I be? But there's plenty of people out there that have been doing this way longer. They make way more money than me. They're, more known. And I've talked to some of these people now because I pay them to be part of their training. Like, I go out there, I pay a lot of people to be part of their training and learn from them because you got to do it. I just joined something called the War Room. The War Room is ran by digitalmarketer.com, and it's really a group of elite marketers who you pay a lot of money. I pay them $40,000 a year to be part of this. And then on top of that, you got to actually go to the events, which is more money, probably another $15,000, $20,000 a year. So that's like $60,000, $5,000 a month that I'm paying to learn just from one group. Forget about I paid for Damon John stuff, Frank Kern, Lewis Howes, Ty Lopez. I pay for all these guys just to see, am I missing something? What can I learn from this guy, that guy? So,
your greatest investment is investing in yourself. And a lot of people are where they are because of their mindset. They have basically a toxic mindset, but they got to get out of that toxic thinking and really put themselves into taking action with take action thinking, because execution is worship.
Yep, you're 100% right.
You are experiencing a life-changing, powerful interview, and you are hearing it first from Arthur Robinson Jr.'s PowerfulInterviews.com.
Now, Phillip, you developed the mindset of being a relentless, successful entrepreneur. Now, let's talk about the word entrepreneur. Now, the word entrepreneur means entreprendre, and it is a Latin word, and it was invented in the 15th century in France. And a gentleman by the name of John Baptist, he invented the word, and over 300 years later, that word still exists, which is entrepreneur. So, entre means between, and pendre means to take. So, it means to take lower productivity and increase it to higher productivity. Can you explain to the listeners, Phil, how you're increasing your productivity in your businesses?
Well, thank you for telling me that, because I never knew that about the word. That was really cool. I'm not a big reader, so I don't read a lot of books and stuff. That's probably one of my negatives. But automation. I mean, that's the first word that comes to mind. Use technology, use automation as much as possible. Because for me, that's the key for the type of business that I do. So for now, time management. Jim Estill, as I mentioned before, he wrote a time management book. If you Google Jim Estill time management book, it's a good read. You know, actually, I listened to the audio book. I didn't actually read it, but he all about time management. He has a time management blog, and that's another key. So automation to get as much done. See, I'm a one employee company, and to be a one employee company and to grow to what I've become, you need to get a lot of work done in a day. And yes, that requires sometimes working at 2:30 in the morning. You know, it is what it is. But how do you get all that work done? So for everything that I do, I sit here and in the morning I do things that I can't do during the day. So you have to understand your day. So if I want to do a call like this with you or a sales call or whatever the case may be, I know I have to do that stuff during the day. So then I do the things that I can't do during the day or can't do in the morning, and I make sure I get that stuff done. So, for example, if I need to, do my bookkeeping or if I need to manage my Facebook ads, I'll do that in the morning because there's nothing else that I can do in the morning. I can't do sales calls. I can't do this. I can't do that, right? So I do that stuff in the morning, and then during the day I do the stuff I can only do during the day during business hours. So that time management for yourself, I still work on the weekends if I need to. Right? It's just a 24/7 operation. So everyone has to make sure that they balance work and life, right? That kind of does become difficult after a while because you kind of, get addicted to work. It is possible. It's happened to me, or it's happening to me. So you're just so enveloped into the company and you just want to get everything done, but you got to take a step away. You got to get your sleep. Right, you got to get your head straight. That's why I go out to lunch a lot, and it's not because I just want to go out to lunch a lot. It's just because I need to get away from the computer.
Right.
And I just need to get out. So, in terms of maximizing your productivity, you got to do time management and automate as much as you can. And of course, use freelancers. I'm not saying that I don't have help. I just use freelancers. I don't want employees. So I find people that can do certain jobs for me and obviously, outsource the stuff you just don't want to do. Because if you don't want to do something, you're probably not going to be good at it, right? And it's going to take you longer than you really need to. It's worth it. Another thing I throw out there is people don't put a lot of value on time. So if you can sit back and say, how much money do I want to make in a day? Whatever that number is, and break it out into how much it is per hour. If you do that, then now you can see how much your time is worth. Because if you say let's just make it easy, round numbers. If you make $100 an hour, and you say, okay, I make $100 an hour. That means that if you're going to pay someone to do something that's less than $100, and it's going to take them an hour to do it, hey, you might as well pay them to do it because if you're going to do it, it's costing you $100.
That's absolutely true.
So that guy's going to charge you. Yeah, if that guy's going to charge you $25, that's a deal.
Wow.
Right. So, see, the number I give myself is $10,000 a day. That's the number I put on myself. You got to set your expectations high. Right.
That's right.
So, put that value. People don't believe. This actually happens a lot. If you ask somebody how much somebody else makes, ask any person that you know, and then ask them how much somebody else makes, they're always going to think, I'm not going to say always, more times than not, they're going to think that person makes more money than they really do. That's what's going to happen. So, for example, my wife does this. She thinks her friend, made more money than she really did. And I've seen it a lot with my wife and some other people. I'm sure I've done it too in the past. You just assume that because you think everyone else is doing better than they really are. The grass is always greener. But then if you ask that person, right, how much money they make, or are they happy, how much money they make, or are they happy with where they're at, they say, I'm not getting paid enough. So everyone decreases their value, and they increase everyone else's value.
Wow.
You need to reverse that. You need to put more value on your time, right? That's what you need to do. You need to put more value on your time. People don't put value on their time. And now me, I put myself in the stratosphere because you have to. In order to exceed levels that you would never believe that you would ever achieve, you have to put that value on yourself.
That's right.
Possible not.
Your expectations should always be high.
I had a guy that I worked with, going back to the early 2000s, and he said to me, he literally said, and this is before I even was doing any of this stuff. He said that to me one day. He goes, you overvalue yourself. And I thought, I looked at it as a negative. I'm like, what do you mean I overvalue myself? And he goes, yeah, and I don't put enough value on myself. But he saw that way back in the day where I wasn't even thinking about it. And he mentioned that to me. And I was like, well, you might as well, right? I don't know. I mean, this is a long time ago, right? But now, today, that's really important for me. Because if someone wants me to do so, listen, I've had people come to me and offer me a bunch of money to do consulting. I had a very, very large, I won't say the name because I'm not allowed, but a very large company come to me in the lending space. It's literally one of the largest lenders in the lending space today, business loan lending space. And they wanted me to put together a training program for all of their brokers. And I went to them. I said, listen, it sounds great, and what you're offering me is good. But I got to be honest with you, it's not enough. And it was a lot of money. I mean, you're talking, over $20,000 a client. A lot of money. But the problem is, and they had 200 clients.
Oh, wow.
Here's the problem. That's all I would be able to do. I wouldn't be able to do anything else. And so do I kill my current business to go make that one time, right, and spend every waking moment of every day doing that for a year and destroy my business because I can't work on it anymore, right? Or do I build my business up that has much bigger legs than just that one client doing, a project for each of their clients? So that's the thing now. If someone came to me and say, oh, man, that's dumb, you should have done that, you should have done that. But it's just, I don't think in the next 5 years, I don't think you'll be saying that.
Well, it was a powerful opportunity, but then it would have put your businesses on freeze for a little while.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And would I have even been able to get to the point, would I be able to turn it back on, right? Would I be able to unfreeze it and grow it at that point in time? Because look what's happened since. Since then, I got the Kevin Harrington endorsement. Since then, I'm talking to the other shark. Since then, I got Eric Sermon working with me now. And I got a lot of other stuff in the pipeline that wouldn't even exist today.
Exactly.
Right? So you got to make your choices. I'm not saying that I've always made every right choice. But you gotta look at your business and have confidence in yourself, right? That you're going to do it. And that's the number one reason. Let's throw this in there. The number one reason why people do not take that chance, and kind of like what Jamessa said to me, I don't think you have confidence in yourself. It's the same thing. The number one reason why people say to me, or don't start the business or whatever their excuse is, because people say to me all the time, Phil, I believe that you make money. Hey, man, I show my tax returns. I log into my bank account and show revenue coming in. Nobody can say to me that I don't make money because I prove it across the board. Nobody does. Very few people do what I do in terms of proving their income, proving their success. But I do it because, well, if I don't, then you're not going to believe a word I say. But even with that, that's not the problem. You know what the problem is? People say to me, Phil, I believe that you can make money and you can do this. I just don't believe I can do it. That right there is the number one reason. They don't believe in themselves.
That's right. Well, if you put something in your mind that you can do it, then you will. But if you put something in your mind that you can't do it, then you won't.
And let's go off that for a second. This is what happens. This is the difference between a rich person and let's just say a wealthy person and a non-wealthy person, is the way they look at things. So exactly what you just said. You ask a person like the people that say to me, I don't think I can do it, or it's too much money, it's too expensive, or whatever reason they come up with that has something to do with confidence or money. All right, now flip it around. You go to a wealthy person. A wealthy person will never say to themselves, oh, I can't do that. There's no negative. It's always, how can I do it? There's a way. I just got to figure out the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I didn't read this book, but someone told me about it. I think it was the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he said that the rich dad, when he was going to buy a Porsche, he took that and he said, all right, I want to buy a Porsche, but I'm not just going to buy a Porsche and spend the money. I'm going to go create an income-earning property and then take that money and then buy the Porsche with that. Right? So they're always thinking, how do I build more wealth? How do I keep, doing that? And it's very easy for people who don't have money to say, oh, well, if I had the money, I would do that. No, that's the problem. You probably wouldn't, because if you're not thinking it now, you're not going to think of it then.
That's true.
And you probably will never get to that point because you're not thinking of it now. I know a lot of hip-hop guys from the late 80s, early 90s, and I've talked to a few of them. And a lot of them, back in the day, right, when they were in that position, they took all the money and they spent it. You take that next level of like the 50 Cent, Eminem, et cetera, and what do? Well, they worked with people and they took their wealth and they made more wealth in it. But that first group, because hip-hop wasn't big and mainstream at the time, they didn't have that ability. They weren't thinking like that because they didn't grow up with those types of people. They didn't have those people around them.
No, they didn't. Actually, Master P is the one that changed the game when he got a distribution deal. 80% go to him and 20% goes to the company. And he actually took $25,000 and invested in himself by getting educated about how to do that distribution deal the correct way. And he paid that $25,000 to Michael Jackson's lawyer to get in front of him. But look what came back when he built his own empire by paying that $25,000. Most people wouldn't have did that. They took the $25,000 and bought a used car and bought clothes and jewelry, things that have no value, and that money would have went to waste. But he said, you know what, I want to basically change the game by controlling my intellectual property. And that's why a lot of artists to this day look up to Master P.
Yeah, it's a smart way to do it, and a lot of them did it at the early stage. I mean, listen, a lot of people don't do that at any stage. You look at the football players, everybody with a shorter career, they're just not doing it for one reason or the other. But if you take the average person that makes the average salary in America, you can be more successful. You can save more money. It's all possible. I just think it's easier just to make the excuse and not do it, right? It's easier just to not do it. Sometimes, listen, it's tough sometimes just get out of bed and say, I got to work all, you're just tired and whatever, life's going on, something bad happens in life. Sometimes it's hard, but, that's why you just got to set those goals and be truly motivated to make it happen.
But if it was easy, everybody would do it. And Phillip,
exactly.
You basically figured out a turnkey business model by automating your business, and once you start to become successful, you're going to attract success. That's what successful people do. They want to get around like-minded individuals where they are developing the mindsets where they want to win. And I love feeding my mind with the right information. And when I'm driving, I let my driving time become my learning time.
Yep. So the part of time management, right?
That's absolutely true. Now, you mentioned that powerful word money, and I know you generated $5.6 million in revenue as a solopreneur. Let's talk about the word money. Now, I know money is not value. Money is just a facilitator to do transactions. Can you explain to the audience, Phillip, how would you define money?
Well, I will tell you this. It definitely doesn't buy you happiness, and obviously everyone said that a million times out there. Money, for me, is all about allowing me to have the life I want. Money allows me to live the life I want to live. That's what it does for me. I said this to my wife. We bought I bought a house back in early 2000s. I bought my first house, and then we had kids, and we bought the house that we want to stay in. And I said to her, it's like, you know what? I'm at a point now in my life. I don't care if